Hey y'all, it's Renegade, and it's time to spill more reality for the final time this season for the finale of Survivor 46, Curse of the Idol, as I'd like to call it here. After a season of absolute insanity, too many Metallica and Taylor Swift references, and not a single idol played correctly, I have to bring back all of my co-casters from the draft to discuss all of the big mistakes we witnessed tonight and all season long leading us to our sole survivor. We've got a full house, so let's get to the introductions so we can get to the kiki, okay? First off, returning from our very first podcast, not just of the season, but of life ever, it's Boo. How are you feeling tonight, Boo?
I'm feeling good. Thanks for inviting me back. I'm
Of course,
excited.
of course. So excited to have you back. And I know you were so close to winning our draft tonight. Sadly, fortunately, Ben let you down. I'm hopefully you're not feeling all depressed like Ben and Charlie were at the reunion here. I know you haven't had a whole lot of time to decompress here, but hopefully you're doing okay after this.
Yeah, Ben seemed to be okay. I'm happy with how it turned out. I'm very excited that Kenzie won.
Mhm.
She was
I
one of
think
my favorites.
Oh, for sure, for sure. I think we were all rooting for Kenzie most of the season here. Um, let's go ahead and get to our next guest here because we'll have a lot of time to talk about Miss Kenzie here during our time in the podcast. But our next guest, let's go ahead and continue with our ladies here, and it's Callow. Callow, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm doing great. A little bummed for the my draft pick, but I was happy with the end result.
I was gonna say Miss Maria. She had an unfortunate start to this episode here. She was just kind of. I think she had a long hill to climb here, which I'm sure we'll get into. But do you have any other thoughts on kind of how the season ended?
Um, I mean, I think it was inevitable with the last vote off at tribal. But how it ended, like I said, I'm pretty happy with the end result because out of who I wanted to win, out of them, all of them, she did.
I'm good to hear. Good to hear. Sounds like we were all rooting for Kenzie tonight. Someone who I don't know if she was rooting for Kenzie or not because I remember he was actually rooting for some other people during our watch party tonight. Let's welcome back Doug to the podcast. Doug, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm feeling pretty decent. I
Mm-hmm.
feel okay about the Kenzie win.
Were you sad that unfortunately we didn't have a Q skirt in this finale?
Oh yeah, that devastated me seeing Q go so early. He should have won.
Well, you know what? He won all of our hearts, and hopefully he'll be back in 4 seasons. And someone that I know is very excited to see Q back in 4 seasons inevitably. It's Quacker Jack. Jack, how are you feeling tonight?
I'm doing pretty good, other than the fact that I don't want to see Q's ass back. I don't want to see Pick Maria's ass back. They're annoying. I don't like them. They stay fake. I don't like it. Catch me outside. How come Q was trying to lie on Kenzie in that last part? We'll get to that later. But I'm doing pretty good.
I mean, we all love Q here, okay? Other than you, Jack.
I
And
don't.
okay, that's why I said other than you, Jack. Okay. Anyway, Jack, I love that you're here, and I'm very excited to get some more opinions from you here. But first off, I want to go ahead and get to another guest here who came oh so close, but no cigar, unfortunately. It is the runner-up of our draft, Whiskers. How are you feeling tonight, buddy? After everything that happened,
I've got some bad blood with Survivor after this episode, let me tell you.
Oh.
are you never getting back together? Is it over?
Like ever. Like ever. No. But it was an interesting episode. I have several thoughts on it. But we can get into it later. I'm proud of how my draft pick played, and I'm happy to have had somebody to root for the whole time because that's not something that usually happens. But no, it was a very entertaining season, and I'm excited to talk about it some more.
Yeah. Oh, that. Absolutely, absolutely. Well, you know what? We can't have a runner-up, unfortunately, without a winner. And let's go ahead and welcome because it's something he finally did on his own, and we're so proud of him. For the second time in the history of our draft, the winner, the one and only, Painless. Painless, congratulations. This will be the only time you get my congratulations tonight, though. I'm just kidding. How are you
Wow.
feeling, though?
How dare you?
Hey, I'm just as
I'm doing
bitter as
great.
Tiffany, okay?
Doing great. Back-to-back winner. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm glad we're not counting Trishelle anymore. We just the trader draft did not happen. This is not a back to back to back win. It's just a back to
So
back
it's
win.
back-to-back.
You will get two, okay? But
Okay.
you know what? Congratulations, Painless. I need you to tell us what is your secret to just picking the best Survivor player that you just know. I just need to know for all of us for next season.
Pick the pretty girls. If someone's hot, you pick it.
You heard it here, folks. Soul Survivor. Base it entirely on what you feel on the inside, and you know what I mean by inside.
Wow.
Well, I'm very excited to get to everything here tonight. And what I have to say before we begin the podcast is you all have 30 seconds to speak. And when I say time's over, okay? We need to keep things moderated. And I've been inspired by Miss Tiffany tonight, so we ready to go. No, I'm just playing. Again, it's been a crazy season, and let's just go ahead and we could cover the finale here because I think it was kind of a pretty straightforward finale for the most part here. And Callow, I kind of want you to start here because all eyes are on Maria after this last tribal council here. So I had to know what were your thoughts on Maria's chances initially coming into this episode, and did you think that she could possibly get out of this situation here?
Yeah, coming into this episode, I was really interested to see the interaction between her and Charlie because obviously he'd realized that she voted for him in that vote. I knew that the only way that she would be able to survive this next tribal was if she either won immunity or found the immunity idol. So when she didn't win the immunity, and then it was unclear if she won the idol or if she found the idol, I was like, oh no, it's not looking good for our girl here. So I was a little hopeless. but the compliment was that because she's such a strong player, that's why she kind of had no chances. This was the one time to get her out or not.
And Jack, as Maria's other biggest fan here tonight, do you think there's anything she could have done in regards to her position in the game, or do you think she was just kind of, after that last vote, she was just kind of screwed moving forward here, that she was gonna just have to just win?
I think that she kind of dug her grave when she decided to, be the godmother of the game, and it was too soon. She started making her moves a little too soon. So at this point, her options really were find the idol, win the challenge. But I'm kind of shocked because I feel like we didn't see her really looking for the idol as much as I would have assumed. Like if it had been me, I probably would have been looking everywhere because at that point, your only options are really like to talk about the other threats, and I don't think that she went about it the right way. Like if I were her, I probably would have tried to get the threat moved onto Charlie and be like, Charlie's the one that's been making all the moves though. And what you guys don't know is that like he's backstabbing y'all, and like maybe done that kind of route is something that she could have gone down. Because I mean, it's like she already backstabbed him anyways. So if she's gonna plan on doing it, she might as well done it first to see if she could get herself some votes. But yeah, I think she just unfortunately she lost the challenge, and that was it.
And with this, I want to ask your opinion here too, because it was her relationship with Charlie, your draft pick, that kind of led us here all to where we were standing here in this situation to begin with. And I thought there was a funny moment when we started the episode where Maria tried to cover her ass, and Charlie instantly just knew that it was Maria's idea to begin with. What were your thoughts, kind of, on where Charlie was standing now with this episode here? And how were your thoughts kind of moving forward on what Charlie's game was going to look like as the end game officially has begun?
I mean, yeah, at this point, it was clear to everybody watching, everybody else on the island, maybe except Maria, that Charlie clearly knew that she turned on him, just like he was planning to turn on her. So, I mean, she went through that whole kind of dramatic action, but it was really useless at the end of the day. And Charlie was kind of just going through the motions, like telling her what she wanted to hear, just to kind of have the benefit of the doubt. Like if she found the idol, maybe she'll still like last minute trust him and work with him, and they'll get to the next round together. Because I feel like that was Charlie's strategy throughout, just kind of survive in advance, which is what it has to be to some extent. But I mean, you also, as we'll see later, you have to, yes, set yourself up to get to the end, but also you have to win at the end. I mean, all of what you did doesn't matter if you can't properly fight for your case at the end. So I think Charlie's strategy here, it was looking good at this point, obviously, because Maria's gonna go, who it seemed like only Maria or Charlie could win the game at this point. So it was gonna be between them, and if he gets Maria out, you know, it's kind of his shot to win, and there's quote unquote nobody standing in his way.
I definitely agree, and I think kind of going into this episode, it definitely made it seem like Maria and Charlie were the big bads, but I definitely think we can't count everybody out here, as we'll kind of see later on this episode. But we kind of, move quickly into the challenge, which is basically Maria, playing for her life here, and they have to go through a obstacle course once again and go up and, build another puzzle. But you know what? This time, not only do they have to build a puzzle, but there's actually a secret challenge built into the puzzle where they have to answer one final trivia question based off of things that are like in the surroundings and whatnot, and use that to break into a final box to unlock their little stick that they will use to hit a gong. Um, and what we find out in this challenge here that are Maria and Charlie, who are basically, I think everybody knows them at this point, are the biggest threats here. Even Charlie said it earlier this episode that he knows now he's a threat. They both are the two that are kind of off to, the early lead here. But as always, the puzzle is the great equalizer, and it turns out here that Kenzie actually gets her puzzle completed first. But they have to complete the code on it, and one of the codes involves them remembering how many holes were in this plank that they used to have to or get through a whole bunch of knots in earlier in the course, which would involve them to run all the way back to go get it unless they were paying attention. Now, Doug, I want to talk to you about this because you had some words about what went down here. Um, Tell us about the whole situation here as Liz decides here. I think it may be the first time that I could really remember in an individual stage of a challenge here. It's happened in tribal challenges, but not. I don't think this blatantly in a individual media challenge. That Liz decides she's gonna go run back and help Kenzie and get her plank for her. Talk me through your thoughts here as this was all going down here, Doug.
Well, it's an individual immunity challenge, so I thought it- Liz was. At first, I thought Liz was gonna go get hers, and thinking that maybe they're gonna be all the same. But then she actually goes back and gets Kenzie's, and which kind of confused me because I feel like it shouldn't be allowed for you to help another person since it's an individual immunity challenge. Since we saw all the way back in South Pacific when Sophie told Albert to drop and pick up her tiles, and Jeff was like, "No, you can't do that." So I feel like this is basically the same thing as that, because Kenzie should have been the one to go back and get her plank and be able to count it just like how Maria did it. Instead, she had Liz do the work for her.
Yeah, I'm kind of in like a mixed emotion about this whole situation because like we've seen other challenges, like especially like puzzle challenges, where people will leave the puzzle out and people will look over. I mean, Boston Rob just infamously got called on that in Deal or No Deal Island. Sorry for the spoilers if you haven't seen it yet, but season's over, so it's not really a spoiler anymore. So like it's like a survivor thing that you could kind of look off of people's puzzles and things like that. But it's a completely different thing to kind of have like someone else assist you through the puzzle. I was a little taken back at first, but then also at the same time, I think one thing that we probably should probably realize this because if they're making the challenge equal, right, then everybody's board's going to have the same amount of holes in it. So kind of regardless if someone goes back to get someone's board or not, it doesn't really matter whose board they're getting at that point. I think all the boards are kind of probably the same number that you're looking for. Like I'm sure one of the other ones were how many puzzle pieces they were. Like I'm sure they don't have a bunch of different numbers of puzzle pieces here. So I'm pretty sure it's equal to some degree. So, she picked up, Kenzie's board. She could have picked up her own board. I don't really see an issue about that part. It was just, I don't know. I'm fine with it to some degree because I mean, obviously, I'm fine with the outcome because I was rooting for Kenzie. Because obviously she's been my winner pick for quite some time since I lost Miss Tiff. But I can't say that I approve of it 100% here. Does anybody else have any feelings on this topic here before we move forward here?
Yeah, I do.
Go for it.
I feel like it was totally fine for her to help because I think we saw in other challenges there were people who have helped each other, like in season 33 when Adam warned Ken about his time limit was about to expire, so that way David and Jay wouldn't win the challenge. Like it was totally fine back then. Like he didn't do anything that physically touched the other person's puzzle. And in this scenario, Liz didn't touch anyone else's puzzle. Yes, she touched the plank board, but technically that wasn't a puzzle piece. It was just a piece of the challenge that had information on it. So I thought it was completely fine. And I was like, look, to me, it's smarter to do that because Liz is so far behind. She's not going to finish her puzzle and be able to do that. And I think Maria got to the puzzle before Kenzie did, if I remember correctly. So, Kenzie finishing the puzzle first, she could have, in theory, gone and gotten the information before Maria, and she had actually asked Liz for her help about what does this mean board, this plank, I think plank was the word. But so I don't have any problem with that. I think it was smart, and we've seen other instances where people have done something. You can't touch someone else's pieces of their puzzle or do the puzzle for them, but giving them the clues or the hints or the answers, I don't think has ever been against the rules. Just like how other people constantly go over to look at someone's board when they leave up the answer and don't put the shade over it to prevent people from stealing their answers. We've seen that multiple times.
Well, I'd like to counter that, saying that if Kenzie herself went back and came back, she could have gone and done that slower than Liz, which would have allowed Maria to get caught up and potentially pass her and be able to count everything. Like it'd be like having Ozzy go run back forward for Sandra.
I mean, true, but do we think that Kenzie would have been any slower than Liz? Like, I don't think like.
I don't think so.
She could
Um,
have.
I think she probably would have. I think Liz and Kenzie probably would have done it the same amount of time there. I'm not that taken aback by it again. The only thing that maybe is an issue is that she didn't go back to go get the board herself, because then she could have just brought the board back, and then like Liz could have like counted it for her there. Maybe that would have been a little bit more fair. But Jeff allowed it, so can we hate on those decisions? I feel like Survivor is pretty good about their calls here, so I think if they're not gonna hate on it, I'm perfectly fine with allowing Kenzie this win. So yay, Kenzie! Her second individual immunity win here. Painless.
The go.
Tell me about your thoughts when Kenzie won this challenge here. Were you expecting her to win?
I would expect her to win. She got up there first in everyone, but
Girl, she got there like second to last.
wait. Yeah, you're right.
Either way.
But I love that Liz and Kenzie like worked on it together. That's a team play. And as long as she wins immunity, she was saved. That's all that matters. And
Agreed.
it's a game.
At the end of the day, that is all that matters. She won, and you know what? We can't.
She's
There's nothing we can do
saved.
about it. Nothing we can do about it. We're not there. So you know what? It's. I think all that will do personally for me is I think it will make Survivor challenges in the future moving forward, especially for like I wouldn't say 47 or 48 because I don't think they're gonna be able to see the finale because I think they're still filming, but maybe season 48 might see this. 49, season 50, I think we're gonna start seeing some people really start to like maybe interact with these challenges to start going on to, as a new meta. So I'd be fine with that. Um, but let's go ahead and go back to camp because at this point here, Maria is determined to not give up, no matter how bleak it looks. And she's attempting to look for an idol, while this time also deciding to pitch Ben's name, saying that Ben wrote down Kenzie's name on purpose. And if you remember a while back, there was that vote that Kenzie ended up getting from Ben that one tribal council where Ben just had like a brain fart and didn't realize or didn't remember who to vote for, so he wrote down Kenzie's name. So this doesn't work on Kenzie at all, but it does work on Liz. As it seems like at this point she's kind of convinced that Ben is a big threat, which I didn't really see. But you know what? Liz has her own mind. So I want to talk to you on this one, Whiskers, because it kind of seems like for me, it kind of comes down to what Charlie might want to do here. Because I mean, at this point, Maria thinks that it's Liz and Charlie voting for Ben. So is Charlie possibly the swing vote, or did you possibly think there's a possibility that she could have found the hidden immunity idol?
I definitely thought there was a possibility that she could have found the idol, and you think surely this time, like if somebody finds the idol, at 5 is the last time you can play it. So surely if they find it, they're gonna play it. So the curse of the idol would have been broken. So we didn't really see much as the viewer. So that was kind of the big suspenseful thing. But as far as Charlie not voting for Maria, I don't think that was ever a possibility. I mean, like coming into this, the past 3 or 4 weeks of Charlie's game has been get out Maria, get out Maria, get out Maria, and it like hasn't been working because Maria is like such a gamer at everything and like has been winning challenges and the idol drama or lack thereof of people not playing it. So there's been other factors, but I think Charlie's game wouldn't have been complete regardless if he didn't get Maria out. Like there was no chance of him winning if he was going to that final 3 and sitting next to Maria, who like very clearly was respected by everybody and for her gameplay, not just as a person. So I think the main drama or the main question going into tribal council, at least for me, was just, did Maria find the idol? Are they going to do like the switcheroo thing where we don't get shown of the person finding the idol and like, oh, surprise, they have it. So that was mostly my thought of what could happen going into this tribal.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I didn't really think there was too much tension here. It definitely, for me, felt like it was very much so gonna be, Maria going home, unless she happened to find the idol. But nothing in the edit really felt like they were really leading up to it. But at the same time, though, too, I also feel like Survivor has been kind of waiting for that moment. And they love to do the switcheroo when you think you know the edit. Oh, you don't know the edit anymore. Let's just throw it in there. So there was part of me that in the back of my mind, I was kind of like, are we going to see an idol get played? I'm kind of glad we didn't, because at the end of the day, Curse of the Idol continues. We get officially call this Survivor 46 Curse of the Idol. Like it's like the official canon name for it. We don't get names or titles for this anymore, but it's official. Like I'm titling it that. That's what we're calling it. It's now officially Curse of the Idol. So anyway, we get to tribal council. Maria does not play the idol. Everybody decides, and it really felt with this tribal council that they were giving us like a very sad, sappy, farewell. It reminds me of the infamous Survivor. What was the episode of Exile Island with Dan the astronaut, where they make everybody like very just, oh my god, you're the best person, Dan. You're so amazing. You're an astronaut. Oh my god, and then they like sent him off with like that like farewell music. This felt like that's what they were giving to Maria. They feel like they do that every once in a while when it comes to a player that I feel like they really like, even though her edit kind of could have said differently in certain spots, but sadly, Maria ends up leaving here in a 4-1 vote. Callow, I will give you the first words here. What are your thoughts overall on the game that Miss Maria played this season?
So like I said earlier, it was a big compliment that they all voted for her and they were trying to get her out. And that's because she was so competitive and she was a big threat in the game, especially towards the end. And I mean, it had to be done because if she got any further than tonight, she could have had a strong chance of winning because she had a social game as well as a strategic game. And so, I mean, I was really proud of her for how she played the entire time. Some people might think that, she maybe didn't have the best approaches or could have handled things differently. But I think that because she was able to make her moves and then also win in the immunity challenges, that made her like a force to be reckoned with. So, like they said in the episode, it took two of them to be able to beat Maria. So even though she did get voted out, I'm really proud of her. And that's a strong compliment for her, the fact that they needed to get her out that badly.
And Boo, I want to kind of hear your thoughts on Maria's game as well too, and just kind of what your thoughts on her as just like a presence this season was.
I think she was overall a really strong player. She was on the right side most times. She was a fighter. I was not able to see her go home. I'm actually very surprised that Liz went farther ahead than Maria did. That's something I never saw coming. But yeah, I think she played a good game. She wasn't my top pick, but I think she was a great player, especially towards the end. She really showed her strength and passion for the game.
And any of the guys here, do you have any final words here on Miss Maria's game?
Karma's a bitch.
Ooh, is she here right now?
JoJo Siwa quote.
It was not the JoJo Siwa quote. That
I
is
know.
a quote that is way longer than that. It's the last song. How dare you? I'm just saying, when you play as a pick Maria, that's what you get.
Oof. I gotta say, I did enjoy Maria. She was someone that I think early on, especially preseason, I don't think she got a whole lot of respect. I don't think people expected her to do very well. I thought pretty highly of her, so I'm very glad to see that she kind of not only played better than my expectations were, or I would say not, oh, sorry, I should say not only what my expectations were, but better than what my expectations were. So, I'm very kind of sad to see Maria go here at the end of the day, but also at the same time, though, too, and not that sad because again, I kind of saw through that. It felt like between the two, Charlie was definitely the more important member of the duo there. So, sadly, Maria leaves here in 5th place. And we will now move on with our final four of Ben, Charlie, Kenzie, and Liz. And we start off our final four with a montage of Ben's night terrors. Now, I've never really had night terrors. I've had a couple of like anxiety attacks at night, so I know how bad those can be. But I can't imagine dealing with that kind of situation while being on the show. But at the same time too, as sympathetic as I am for Ben, I feel like there's been just kind of like a lackadaisical vibe overall to his game that it just makes me sympathetic, but also hard to kind of like root for because at the end of the day, like I want a gamer. I want someone who's gonna play the game at the end of the day, and I never got that vibe from Ben at all. Really here, but what we do kind of see, I think, from this montage is that he really has some really good friendships with Charlie and Kenzie, who were kind of up all night with him, and supporting him through the process. So, as far as that goes, there, I'm glad to see that Charlie and Kenzie are kind of being that support system for Ben. It's very, I think, important for someone going through that kind of mental health issue to have that kind of support system there. So that was really nice to see them in a kind of a crazy game like this for Ben to have that support there. But I know, Doug, there was a little bit of some talk while we were watching the episode that possibly this could have been a moment that we were supposed to really sympathize with Ben and possibly see some winner potential here. What are your thoughts on kind of overall on Ben episode and just kind of everything dealing with Ben here, Doug?
Well, I feel like throughout the show, Ben has kind of been very invisible up until like it felt like, oh, here's 1 second of Ben, oh, here's 1 second of Ben, but then we got to the night terrors, and they keep on coming up more frequently throughout the episodes. So this kind of seemed like maybe they could be setting up for a Ben win to make us like, oh, maybe the jury will feel bad about Ben having these night terrors, and that would be his way of winning.
And I mean, like, I don't know if I saw it that way for sure. I think it definitely made him seem sympathetic. But I still don't know, like, again, what gameplay did Ben have? Whiskers, can you remember anything that Ben did in the game, really?
Yeah, he listed a bunch of Metallica songs. That was kind of cool. No, I enjoyed Ben on the season, but he definitely was not there winning the game of Survivor. Like, no matter how far he made it throughout any point in the season, did I think he was going to win? No. Even in the final, like he was there as kind of a feel good character, and he had those moments with his anxiety and the night terrors, and I feel like that was more his story and that was his purpose there. And he kind of got to overcome that for himself and make some friends and really show like how social he was and how much of an effect he had on the season. Just not really in the strategy of the season. So he was just kind of like a feel good story of the season here. It wasn't ever giving winner potential for me.
Yeah, I don't think Ben's story ever kind of resonated with me as far as like winner potential, but definitely agree. Ben seems like a really nice guy. So, somebody that does feel like they're a winner that we need to kind of bring up here because Liz feels like she has the best chances now at this point of this final four to win because she has nothing but Nami friends on the jury. And I think we all kind of collectively like not only groaned and kind of side-eyed and rolled our eyes at the same time here, but you know what? That's Liz. I've kind of grown to really love Liz. But Liz reveals here that she has a disease, another ailment for Liz here that's preventing her in the game of Survivor. Is her ligaments constantly pop out of her hands or in and out of her hands? So like she that weird thing where she was moving it all around and they kept popping and stuff. So like they're legit things. I get them, but I'm just like, Liz, we need to get you a doctor out here. Like, you need to have medical on you like 24/7. How have you lived this long? Like, I don't get it. Callow, you're snicking over there. Tell me your thoughts here on Miss Liz. On your, as she gets to the final four now.
Well, when she said about her wrist, I was like, oh, here we go. Another excuse, another one. I mean, in preparation for, I don't know, I feel like deep down she knew that she wasn't going to win. And so she, had an excuse for like, oh, this is why. But then I was really shocked because then in the final tribal, she was saying about how like, oh, that if I had gotten past this fire, you all would have lost. And like you said, we all kind of looked at each other like, I loved also the edit panning to Venus's face because that was exactly how we were all feeling at that moment when she said that.
Yeah, I was loving Venus's reaction. The jury actually entirely were given some great facial reactions there. I think that would be my favorite part about like if I get voted out early, like I'm just gonna sit here and make funny reactions on the jury. I'm gonna have a Janine Wow emote. I'm gonna have a yam yam gasp. They're all just gonna be of me, just constantly being shocked and surprised and things at tribal council. That's like the best you could hope for as a juror.
You'll go
I,
viral.
I mean, really. I mean, I would love to be a gift that everybody uses randomly I don't know. I don't know. It would be my pleasure. It's what I could hope for. I'm hoping one day. We'll see. We'll see. You never know. Um, but uh, we do know here that one of these people do have to leave. And we do get to our final immunity challenge, which I thought was a fun one. It was one of the ones we have seen in the past. It's where the castaways have to roll a ball up the ramp onto the Plinko board, and when the ball is coming down there, they have to gauge the time and work on a puzzle while they are also, making sure that the ball doesn't drop. If the ball does drop, it goes into this really long chute thing, and they have to wait for it probably like a minute or two for it to go down the chute for them to roll it back up and then start the timer basically again. The first castaway to complete their puzzle will win the final immunity challenge and have the right to decide who they will take to the final three, while the other two will compete in fire. And I gotta say, it was a pretty close challenge up into a point when all of a sudden, like, Ben kind of took off with it, and he ended up winning his first immunity challenge of the season. Jack, you said how shocked you were that Ben won. Let's talk about this. Ben is the first member of the final three. Were you expecting this?
No, I don't think anyone was expecting this. And in fact, I think the only reason he got that edit with the night terrors and stuff is we had to understand his his point of view, his perspective per se, about like how he was going to make this decision, It went between, showing Charlie and Kenzie being there for him. So when he gets to this challenge, it's a puzzle challenge. I'm like, Ben has never done great in any challenge. But especially in a mental challenge, I guess there was a big mental component to it. It was very interesting because I was like, okay, it's a rather simple puzzle, but it's 25 days already, so they're all wiped out, exhausted. You find the borders first. You try to do your best around that and fill in the pieces where you see them. And I don't know if it was just the rhythm he had down, or Jeff mentioned that he had a very conservative play, so maybe he went back, did like a puzzle piece or two, and then looked at the board to make sure, and went back and just never wanted to make a mistake. And maybe it was that rhythm that he had in his mind that kept him going and bought him that challenge win. But it was shocking because I think we all thought that Charlie was going to win, or maybe Kenzie was going to win, because at this point they both have 2 wins under their belts, and Liz and Ben don't have any. So it was kind of shocking to see that he was the person who won and then got to make the ultimate decision at the end.
Yeah, it was kind of, for me, my biggest question mark was how the Final Four was going to go down. Like, who was going to actually win this challenge? And it was definitely never Ben in any of my predictions of it. I never thought Ben was going to win the challenge. Nothing against Ben, again, but I think again, Charlie and Kenzie were just much stronger competitors. Just felt like it was right up Charlie's alley, but it also felt like Charlie was feeling the pressure a little bit. Um, like it felt like this was kind of like a big spot in his mark here, and not to kind of compare him to anybody here, but he was kind of giving me Spencer vibes from Kagion a little bit, whereas like I don't know, just kind of like, or not necessarily Kagion, back in Second Chances, the one where he had more of a shot, but it felt like he was kind of like the player everybody was kind of expecting to kind of do well. But then there was one other maybe more likable player that was out there that it's like, okay, well, are they going to do it? Are they going to cut that person? And it just kind of felt like for me, Charlie was never really considered that likable. Like they never gave Charlie like that lovable. Other than calling him like the dog, but I don't know if that's necessarily a good thing. But anyways, Ben ends up having to now decide who is going to be the person that he targets, and he decides that he wants Liz as the biggest threat, based on the fact that he also believes she has a lot of friends on this jury. Um, Callow, What are your thoughts here as the final four is kind of playing out here? And do you think that Liz is actually a bigger possible jury threat than either Charlie or Kenzie?
No, I didn't think that Liz was a bigger threat as far as like, having jury votes. So that's why I was surprised that Ben thought that. I don't know if maybe there was something that we didn't see in the show that maybe might have made him think that way. Just because I don't think Liz really was too strategic and didn't really have a good social game, honestly. Like I was really confused how she got so far, honestly. I knew that Liz would be an easy pick to do the fire, not because she was a threat, but because I mean, I felt like Ben was definitely going to be taking Kenzie and Charlie no matter what. So I don't know, maybe he just used that to say that to Liz so that she didn't feel bad. I mean, I don't know. I in no way did I feel like Liz was a threat if she were to go further, like with getting, jury votes or anything.
Yeah, I was very confused kind of with that too. Like, my mindset was definitely otherwise, but we also see an edited version of the show. So, I mean, mindset wise, yeah, I kind of get she's thinking she has four people on the jury that are her old trimates. Maybe they support her. Who knows? Um, Whiskers, I want to kind of know your thoughts here, especially because as they're kind of preparing for fire here. Charlie does mention to Ben, and I think this could be something I kind of want to get your take on it. Um, but Charlie does kind of mention at one point that he can kind of maybe get into Ben's ear here and maybe decide for him who ends up going fire if he doesn't feel confident. Then maybe he'll try to talk to Ben and see if Ben saves him. It turns out here, obviously, that he does take Charlie to the final two, or sorry, the final three, and makes Kenzie and Liz go up against Fire. So, Whiskers, I want to know what your thought process was on this whole decision.
Yeah, I was at this moment kind of on the same page as Charlie. Like I always put myself in kind of the people on the screen's shoes. And in Charlie's case, I definitely would have tried to have done the same thing. Like if that's my friend in the power position there, I'm definitely gonna try to be in his ear and saying like, yeah, like planting those seeds, you should take me, because I would always take the guaranteed spot in the finals. Especially like Charlie is pretty confident in his game here. He got Maria out. That was kind of the overall objective. He feels pretty confident about it and like he has a chance against everybody else. So yeah, why wouldn't you take the guaranteed seat in the final three and just think you'll be able to talk yourself out of it in front of the jury? There is an argument to be said. Obviously, it comes into factor later about having that moment of winning the fire, and maybe in seasons going forward. And I guess kind of in the past, it has been a little bit of a theme. Like the fire is really valued a lot. Like whoever comes out of the fire challenge really has a good shot of winning, even if they didn't do as much in the rest of the game. So it's, I don't know. I would have probably done the same thing as Charlie there, and like always just take the guarantee. It's kind of like the same thing as playing the idol. Like if you have the idol in your pocket, why wouldn't you just play it if you feel anything? But as with the theme of the season and not playing the idols, maybe it was the other decision and taking that risk and playing the fire that would have worked better in Charlie's favor.
And you bring up a very interesting point there, and I don't know if we get 100% say maybe that happened this season, but it does feel like for whatever reason sometimes the fire challenge does get weighed very very heavily here. Doug, I know you are an avid gamer like some of us here. What are your thoughts here on how heavily this fire challenge should weigh overall in the jury's mind?
I think it should, but it should weigh a little bit in the minds of the jury, but it shouldn't just like outweigh everything someone else did. Like in 43, where none of the three really did too much, that beating someone in fire should be counted heavily. But while we have this season where Charlie has been pretty much the main force of the votes and was orchestrator of the Maria vote off, and getting that coalition of people to turn on her, I feel like having the fire challenge weighing so heavily is kind of BS, because that's basically eliminating what every single thing Charlie did the entire time over just one little thing, like what Maria said, saying that, oh, that I saw the fire in her eyes and that's what took me over the edge, while it's like Charlie literally had pushed every single vote and made the biggest move of the season by taking out Maria.
Yeah, I kind of go back and forth because I kind of do see merits in certain situations, but I think you're right. I think it being overpowering the entire situation of what happened the whole, 24 days before seems a little bit crazy to just be like, okay, well, on day 25, you were so amazing, so I'm going to give you my vote. Jack, I know you probably have a perspective here on it too. I kind of want to get your perspective as well too.
I mean, ugh, I just think that like in this, I think fire is playing way too big of a role in a lot of the jury's minds. First off, I'm not saying that to discredit anyone or anything, but we've seen times where jury members think that doing the fire challenge is more acceptable than like winning the actual immunity challenge that lets you give the ability to choose fire and choose like who's going on. And in this scenario especially, I think like it should be said that Charlie should have gotten points for also having good enough social connections where he didn't have to go to fire. I mean, that being said, I guess that the new trend in Survivor, unless you're the GOAT going into the fire and winning, like Jake from last season, right? Like you can use that as just like another tick on the resume, and it's just like I guess the last thing the jury sees before they finally make that final decision the next night. So maybe it is the correct way in the new seasons of Survivor to do that, but it just was weird to me that this was like such an important moment. Like for Kenzie, great. It is great. She beat someone, but also people were like, Liz isn't someone that does fire well ever. So what is I don't know how much that was proving there, but everyone saw that she wanted to win a lot, which is great. You should always show your passion. But I don't know. I feel like Charlie made great choices up into that point, and I thought him getting to the final three was going to be it at one point. But the final tribal council has a lot of say in what happens depending on how you present your story. So
Mhm. Yeah, I definitely agree, and we can kind of touch on that in just a few moments here. But I do want to go ahead and just kind of give some final moments here to our final loser, Liz. Just because you know what? I'm pissed! She is, she possibly could have left me with one of my favorite moments of all time. A gif I will use for years and years and years to come. So get ready for it, everybody in the Discord. Get ready because it will be there multiple times a week. And I'm just so excited to have Miss Liz here. Boo, I kind of want to hear your thoughts and start our eulogy here for Miss Liz because she was officially one of the people that none of us picked in the draft. Uh, do you wish you would have picked her?
I do not. Especially towards the end. She just became, I don't know, like a ball of chaos. I just wanted her gone. Ever since she had the meltdown over that, I think it was the Applebee's reward.
Yeah, the Applebee's.
I just wanted her gone. I have no regrets on not picking her, and I mean, and
I
I get
have
it.
no
I mean, I've been
regrets.
hangry before, like like not eating for so long and not having her bowel movement. I don't know.
Have you really gone
She was
23
just too
days without a bowel
mesmerizing.
movement though? Like that could be like some trauma. That's like 3 weeks without. Oh my gosh, like that's ooh, that does not sound fun.
Charlie, I can't. Sorry, I'm jumping the gun here. Did Liz vote for Charlie?
Liz did vote
How
for
many
Charlie.
votes did he get? 3?
He got 3. He got Hunter, Soda, and Liz.
Oh, okay. Maybe that was a thank you for Charlie taking her on the reward.
All you need to do is just give her some pizza and she'll give her your vote. I mean,
Hey.
I feel it. I feel it. I'm petty
Things
like that.
started
I'm easily to
getting
please
better
like
for
that.
her after eating, so.
I was gonna say she did stop. She did stop the meltdowns, and we didn't see any
Yeah,
large
she
like.
just needed a little food, and I think we can all relate, but it was too messy for me.
Oh, well, I hope she gets her Applebee's sponsorship. Like, I totally forgot
least
that
a
we were
gift
all
card.
supposed to go get bourbon burgers before this. I meant to tell everybody. We're gonna go get our bourbon burger. We're gonna go take our daughters, and then we're gonna go watch Survivor together. Okay, well, we did a third of that. That's fine. Does anybody else have any final words here for Miss Liz? I know actually Painless. I need to bring this up because Painless had a moment here where I think he was almost ready to, if he could have, he would have traded his draft pick winner Kenzie for Miss Liz because he was very convinced that Liz was going to win. Painless, how about you tell us about your theory on why Liz was going to win and why did you what? Just tell me about Liz. Your opinions here.
Oh jeez. Well, she was just causing a lot like chaos. While Kenzie was just like in the back in the shadows, like really quiet. She was not getting a lot of screen time. Liz was getting so much screen time. So everyone was just talking about Liz the whole time. So it's like, oh shit. And she's gonna win.
I would have honestly lived for your version of it. I'm not even making fun of you. I would have lived for Liz winning. It would have been the most almost most unorthodox ending, but like no, like there's been crazier people. There's been, it feels like a season of just like insanity should have the
It
most
was.
insane winner ever. Like it feels like Liz would have just put like
It started with Bono and then Q and then Liz.
oh my god, we're gonna go back. Trust me, we're gonna have a retrospective about all of these people because we have some moments to have to. This was a season.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, I'm glad that we kind of all got to see all the multiple sides of Liz here. I was a little worried for her to begin with as far as just like her screen time, but I'm very happy with Liz's story here. I don't think I ever expected hangriness to really be like a storyline, which I don't know why I never expected that on Survivor.
Did she actually got a sponsorship with Applebee's though?
We could only hope. And Applebee's is missing a great opportunity here to just put Liz in their commercials and just have her like go to like some other like have her go to like Chili's and just be pissed, and then have her walk into like Applebee's and be happy. Like they're like so many promotional opportunities here. I'm telling you, Liz, please come back and be an actress. Need you.
Right.
Sadly, though, that means I shouldn't say sadly. Happily, that leaves us with our final 3 of Ben, Charlie, and Kenzie as we head into the final day. And I've got to say, I expected 2 of these people together. I don't know if I really thought that Kenzie and Charlie were ever going to face off against each other. It felt like the edit was maybe leading up to Kenzie like being the person that was going to slay the final dragon. But it turns out the final dragon was Liz. So, yeah. I kind of felt a little underwhelmed going into this final 3. I have to be very honest. Like I just feel like for all the craziness that we had this season, I was just hoping for like a final tribal council that was just going to be like nuts and just off the rails and just insanity. And it felt like the most that we got here was just I feel like Hunter was a little hard on Charlie, and Tiffany felt like she was just not there to have any fun. She just felt like she was just there to just get down to business and just be like, I just want to figure out who the winner is, and then we'll be nice afterwards. But did anybody have any thoughts here on the final tribal council? Cal, I'll let you start here.
So I thought Tiff, the only word I can use to describe her on this tribal was rude. She was on something. It was hard to watch. I just wanted to fast forward.
You didn't like her being the moderator?
What?
You got 30 seconds, Boo. Stop!
Oh my gosh. That was the...
Cut it.
That was crazy. I felt so uncomfortable for them. Like, they're like giving out the best answer they can give. And she claps her hands and says time's up.
I kind of lived for it, honestly. I didn't hate it. I was kind of like...
I did not like that.
It's the last little bit of
Sure.
power she has. Okay, let her wield it.
Yeah. But I felt like most of the jury, they just kept interrupting all of the answers. I don't know. I thought it was all over the place. I thought they should have done a better job at listening rather than having their moment.
It did kind of feel like they didn't do like the normal like let's do outwit, let's do outplay, let's do outlast. Which felt like it was a little weird. Like they went back to like it felt like maybe like everybody gets a question to ask, and then we'll kind of round table it, which was very disorganized. I do agree. It felt very very disorganized. Whiskers, do you have any thoughts on anything that went down here at the final tribal council that you wanted to speak about?
Yeah, I mean, overall, I thought it was kind of like a cut and dry result for a final tribal council. I mean, just this whole finale in general. I feel like the expected result from what we were seeing on the screen kind of always happened. Like Maria went home, and then Liz went home, and then at the end of the day, Kenzie won because she like had the best answers overall at the from the jury. And I mean, speaking just a little bit on Tiff, I kind of enjoyed the whole thing actually. I mean, and I think she was maybe being a little harsh about it, but it worked well, I think, for entertainment purposes. But I mean, at the end of the day, they are determining who makes $1 million and who wins the game and gets the title. So she was kind of, in a way, just taking it very seriously and trying to get the answers out of them and just get to the direct points. But I think that setting it up that kind of way maybe put the favor towards Kenzie a little bit. And I think it kind of took Charlie kind of like out of his element almost, because you think going in, okay, Charlie's going to do well, he's like in law school, he's a lawyer, he's going to argue his case. But no, it kind of this be like the tribal being different from other final tribals that we've had kind of gave Kenzie a really good opportunity to kind of explain her story, and how she kind of tied the way she's lived her life and her life story into the game. And I think it was this whole episode, I mean, obviously because she won, was more about how Kenzie won and how Charlie lost. And I think Kenzie was just fighting more. She was even in the fire making challenge, like I think I said when we were watching it through, she was starting her jury speech like right after she beat Liz in the fire. She was like, she was just tying her life into it so well. And I think she really played to the jury as best as she could, and I think that's why she won at the end of the day.
You do bring up a very important point there to play to the jury, and I do think Kenzie did that. All of her answers, it felt like they got some sort of positive, positive to lukewarm response for the most part. I did feel like I saw much pushback on a lot of her answers, so it felt very much so like a situation of like, maybe I could maybe relate this a lot to Ko Wrong, where it's like a Michelle versus Aubrey situation where the one player is clearly like the storyteller, they're the player that is the one that's kind of running the strategy portion of it, but they're not necessarily the player that everybody likes the most. And I do think there is something to say say about just being more likable than your opponents. And it's hard to kind of capture that on TV. But as far as it goes, I do think Kenzie had a fantastic final tribal council. She spoke so well. And to your point there as well too, I was very underwhelmed by what Charlie had to say, and I do think the jury did push back on a lot of what he had to say, and I do think he has one of those games that he really has to verbalize it and take ownership of it, or I don't think the jury is going to see everything he's doing. Even if they know what he's doing, they need to really verbalize it and sell it, and I wasn't getting that same sale, I feel like, from Charlie here. Um, Doug, do you have any thoughts on the final tribal council here?
I thought that even though Q was on the jury, we still got to see his craziness come out between him arguing with Tiff and Kenzie about who wanted to vote for Tim. And I felt like some of them were saying that they came in without knowing who they wanted to go, like Tiffany. But from the beginning, it felt like Tiff always was going to vote for Kenzie. Like her opening statement was saying, "Oh no, we don't want to hear any uh, rock albums or Taylor Swift lyrics, but nothing about Kenzie."
Well, it makes you wonder if they were just really annoying. Do you think they brought that up? Because it felt like that was all that we ever got from like Charlie's personality was Taylor Swift. So it wouldn't surprise me if he was going around just quoting Taylor Swift. Do you think that might play a role into that part?
I think that might have played a role into why they were pushing back so much, because he might have annoyed them with all the Taylor Swift lyrics, and same thing probably with Ben with the rock albums, and them probably vibing out to talking to each other about each.
Mhm. Yeah, I do see what you're saying though, because it did feel like Tiff was going into this as a very die-hard Kenzie vote. Like from the everything that she said was very pro Kenzie, and it didn't feel like she ever had any real negatives to say about her. So, this is kind of remember what I was telling y'all though a few episodes back here when Tiffany did not get or Kenzie did not get any credit for the Tiffany blindside. Told you that was going to come back and be a good thing for her because now she has Tiffany's loyalty on the jury and someone that is probably turning a lot of votes in her favor here. Jack, I know you had something that you wanted to say about tonight's final trap council as well too.
Oh my god, I have so much to do. I'll try to go fast though. First of all, hated Q talking. He was being so annoying. He couldn't even remember what he had done, and Tiffany had to defend Kenzie about the fact what had actually had happened. And I was like, this is annoying as hell because Kenzie was trying to tell her story, and Q was trying to make it about himself and trying to act like he did something that he didn't do, which was then talked about by Tiffany. And speaking of Tiffany, I think that she was like all within her right of like doing this like kind of mediation for the final tribal council, and I thought it worked really well for everyone because, in my opinion, I really liked the idea of instead of going through the three different like phases of the final tribal council, I like when everyone like gets a question and then they ask either everyone or like maybe two of the final tribal council people. Like I really enjoyed that. And I guess off of that, like when you ask people certain questions, sometimes people get skipped. And like for me, I was like, I don't really hear what Ben has to say because I didn't feel like there was much that Ben could say to me that would make me vote for him. If I was on the tribal, like if I was on the jury, I'd be like, what could Ben do or say at this point that would make me think anything else of him? Because after that first question, when he couldn't even really figure out what it was that he had contributed to the gameplay, everyone was like, okay, so just people like you because you're a lax personality who doesn't cause any drama. I don't know, like there's nothing that really like set him apart, so I felt like it was between Kenzie and Charlie, and at that point, Charlie was just kind of flopping all over the place. And to his credit, though, I will say that Maria did him a little bit dirty. She could have let him have that move and not said nothing back to the jury about it, but she decided to throw him under the train tracks one last time before she was going to ultimately throw him under the train tracks. But on Kenzie's side, she just did a great job of relating to everyone, and I think that shows the difference between their two different social gameplays. Whereas Kenzie was friends and trying to make bonds with everyone, Charlie was focused on making those bonds really strong with just like key members of the people who were out there. Like, I don't think Charlie really put in much work on trying to become friends with like Soda or trying to become friends with like Hunter and all these people. Like, he had relationships with them, but it wasn't the same as like his like Kenz's relationships with them. He was seeing them for who they were, and he didn't really see them as like as much value in his gameplay to get to the end because he was focused on getting to the end and not really getting to know them. That being said, though, I really hope that Kenzie would have stopped saying that she was being selfish for the first time in her life after she had won the final tribal council, because I was like, okay, girl, I've had it officially. You said it enough times. You might be right, but damn. And just one last thought. I really enjoyed a lot of the questions that were asked tonight, but it's really hard to answer the questions and also try to pander to the jury members, because I was really worried when some people felt like they had to, like Kenzie felt like she kind of had to try to pander back to Q, and I could see that Charlie tried to use that as an opportunity to get Q on his side, and there was the Hunter seemed like he was really going after Charlie for a while, but ends up being on Charlie's side anyways. It was interesting because trying to navigate all those personalities while not trying to piss people off is just got to be one of the most difficult things you can do.
I mean, in general, I think the jury portion of the game is probably, if not the hardest part of the game, because you have to verbalize what you've done over the last 30, or sorry, it's 26 days now. 26 days, and you also have to put it in a way and frame it that's going to make you look better than other people. And I think one thing you brought up there that kind of reminded me here, and it was kind of the moment I felt like the tribal council was just over. And it was very early on in the tribal council, and it was when it kind of goes back to your situation there with Charlie's relationship with Hunter, and how he was trying to claim like the Hunter blind side, and then Hunter was like, no, it was actually, it was Kenzie, it wasn't it wasn't you, Charlie. And I felt after that I was like, oof, that was that was not a good sign for Charlie there. And it felt like as soon as that counterpoint came in, it was just he had a hard time, I feel like, rebounding back. I feel like he eventually got it back. But I don't think he was expecting someone to kind of like counter at him like that hard. Like he was giving me very much so like Cassidy vibes from season 43, unfortunately, when they were like, no, that wasn't your move. It's like, oof, that's that's not a good look. um,
To
just,
me, to me, it actually
yeah.
felt like Hunter was trying to help Charlie out a little bit. I don't know if anyone noticed that the way he would ask Charlie a question, it almost seemed like he was leading the way for Charlie to make his case. And then it made sense afterwards when I saw that he voted for him. It's just something I noticed. I'm like, it kind of feels like Hunter is purposely letting Charlie speak up and explain his game a little better.
But we did learn here that I believe every vote for Charlie that night was someone that came into the tribal council with a different thought of who they wanted to vote for, and it turns out that they ended up changing their mind to Charlie at the last moment here, which kind of surprised me. I figured he was going to have a lot more support here, but as the final votes do come in here, Charlie again does get the votes from Hunter, Liz, and Soda, while Kenzie gets votes from Maria, Q, Tevin, Tiffany, and Venus, meaning Kenzie is crowned sole survivor of our 46th season. I'm jumping ahead already. Mr.
49.
Dyslexic already. 46th season of Survivor here. You know what, Painless? I'm going to give you the first words here. What were your thoughts here on Miss Kenzie's victory?
Oh, great. Because first I had a doubt, like she was not gonna win. And then each week it was telling me that she's just playing the low card, like not really speaking. And she was just like, when she wanted to speak out or do something, she would do it, and that's what she did. And at the final tribal, she speak up. She was good at speaking, got everyone's eye, and that's how she won. Made me back-to-back winner.
Yeah, just keep bragging about it. Keep bragging.
I
Next season, you get to pick last. You're not picking it at all. You get whoever is left over. So you get.
Not the leftovers.
Hey, infamously, one of our season 43, our draft winner was the leftovers. So you know what, it could be worse with our group, knowing our track record.
And to be honest, she also got a win with Gabler.
Yep. Miss Afty, she's on the board, so she has more wins than I do in our draft. So I can't hate on her. So it's a good strategy. So I gotta say, I was very actually surprised that these votes didn't tie. I was kind of expecting possibly a tie because, I mean, relationship-wise, it seems like things were kind of close between the two people. But I think for me, the biggest thing that stood out between this leading to Kenzie's victory was Maria. And Callow, I want you to kind of comment on this here. I feel like the big drama towards the end of the season was the fact that Maria and Charlie ultimately decide to turn on each other. But it turns out here that Maria does not vote for Charlie in the end, like they said that she votes for Kenzie. What were your thoughts on Maria's decision here to vote for Kenzie?
Yeah, I was shocked as a friend because they were so close the entire time, trying to be so good about not taking things personally and understanding, that this is a game. I do think that she chose correctly in voting for Kenzie, in that, Kenzie was really descriptive as far as her game and her plans, and she was just relatable to the jury. I didn't really like Maria's explanation for why she voted for Kenzie. She said, because when she did the fire the night before, I saw the fire in her eyes. Like that, I feel like negated everything that happened in the season with her and Charlie, and then just in Charlie's game. So I didn't like her answer in that. But also, I feel like there's a tinge of like, I don't know if she was like a little bitter or being a little petty, because obviously how she went out, that's a painful way to go out, especially knowing that the person that you were closest with, made an effort to go against you, blindsided your number one or two, or whoever Q was becoming to her, and then ultimately, getting her voted out. I mean, strategically, I get it. I'm glad, I'm glad, and I get why she voted for Kenzie. I just didn't like that explanation, and you could kind of see also in Charlie's face, that he didn't like that answer either. That he was hurt by that.
And Boo, I kind of want to hear your thoughts here because I know had you had your way, Miss Kenzie would have been your draft pick. So I want to kind of hear your thoughts overall on how this final vote shook down in our winner.
I was over the moon with the win. I loved Kenzie since even before the season started. She was my number one, and just like last season, Painless took my pick away from me. But yeah, I'm super excited. I think she deserved it. Out of the three that were standing there for the final, I think she deserved it the most. I was very sad for Charlie, but I think even if it would have been a tie, I truly believe Ben would have picked Kenzie in the end. So I think it hurt that Maria didn't vote for him, but I don't think that would have made a difference.
Doug, do you have any thoughts on how the final vote shook down here?
I was very surprised that Maria did not vote for Charlie, because she even told Charlie, the last thing that she told him was that, hey, you got my vote if I go to the jury. And then she just straight up changes her vote because of the fire making twist. And I do believe, I'm sorry, Boo, I do believe that if she did vote for Charlie, that Ben would have voted for Charlie because of how close they had been for the entire game and the fact that he chose Charlie to sit next to him instead of going into fire. I think that that foreshadowed his decision if it was to go into a tie vote that he would have voted for Charlie to win the game.
Yeah, I could kind of see it going both ways. Honestly, I do the kind of edge that he probably would have voted for Ben too. So I kind of agree with you there, Doug. Jack, I know you have something to say here.
Oh, don't I always? Um, I think I have to agree with Doug. I 100% think that he would have chosen Charlie. I don't see a world where he doesn't choose Charlie. But I guess the one thing I was kind of glad that there wasn't a tie for was the fact that, well, a couple things. I didn't want a Swifty to win if we could help it. So like, here we go. I didn't have to deal with that. And another big thing for me was like I didn't want Ben to have another like breakdown because he had to cry now to figure out what he was gonna do. And I think a tiebreaker like that kind of like sucks because I think this jury was one of the lesser effective juries, though I liked the style in which they brought back like everyone gets a question and you answer people. I didn't really feel like we got to see as much from the final three as much as we got to see from the jury themselves. And I do feel like there was a lot of discussion amongst the jury during this moment. And of course, they've been silent, they've been watching for a while, so they know quite a few things. But there's a lot they don't know because they weren't in the game. And I think there were times where people just didn't get to fully like finish their thoughts or like figure out like how they wanted to speak their truth, I guess, into the game. But I'm overall extremely happy that Kenzie wins. I think she's a great winner. I think she played more of that social, get to know everyone and be a good friend. In fact, she's almost like a mix of Ben and Charlie's gameplay, where I felt like Ben was way too lax, way too much about like making connections, and Charlie was always thinking like 10 steps ahead of like what's the next move, what's best for me to get to the next step. And I think Kenzie represents like that middle ground that I think led to her success. Though I have to say, I do think that Charlie did get pretty shafted by Maria tonight, and it's gotta hurt. And I don't know. For me, if I was in that situation, I wouldn't have handled it with as much grace as Charlie gave to Maria. And I think it was kind of shitty of Jeff to honestly say that it was so mature of him, blah, blah, blah. Because, like, no offense to Jeff, but he's a millionaire. This man doesn't need that money. He doesn't suffer like that. He's been, like, in charge of the show forever. So, like, girl, like, take one step back, sis, because, you had Charlie who I would say arguably, but I just think we can't disagree that Charlie played a better strategic game overall and so would have deserved the vote on that. It's just the final tribal council he didn't do as well in. But some of the people in that jury just knew that he was doing more of the like control of the game and still didn't vote for him. And that's really rough, especially when you find out your number one stabbed you in the back again. Like, yikes. It was okay the first time she stabbed him in the back, trying to get him out. Fine. But then the second time and just lying to his face. Oof. Wow. That's gotta be hard. And I can't blame Charlie either, because it happened and like 10 minutes later he was asked about it. Like, that's not enough time to process those emotions and supposed to be feeling good for Kenzie. That's rough.
You bring up some good points, and one of the reasons why I kind of wish they would wait, like even like an hour or two after revealing the winner to do the after show. I feel like it would be a lot better for these people that have almost just just won here. And one thing that I kind of thought of that kind of made me laugh here about Maria's whole arc here was that she was according to some people, pick me throughout the season and voted out just mostly women, and then did all of this to make sure women won. So can we say she's a pick-me still? Is she still a pick-me? I don't.
Yes, yes.
I don't think you can because she did vote for a woman to win.
I can explain
Can
why.
it be mutually exclusive? Can you be both, possibly? Maybe.
Can she
know.
be pick me if she didn't pick me the Charlie to win?
No, because at that point Charlie had already betrayed her, kind of thing, and it's one of those. Well, if you're not going to pick me over her, kind of thing, because in theory he could have gotten out Kenzie or Liz instead of her, and since he did not go or even Ben, he straight up, quote unquote, like, did her dirty. So she was like, well, now I'm gonna go back at you. But the worst part is she lied to him first. And we can say, oh, she had a day and a half to really like think about her feelings and like, oh, well, I think Kenzie did a great job at the fire. But again, why are you putting that like 5 to 10 minutes of Kenzie trying to make a fire over your whole 24-day adventure with Charlie? Because you're bitter. That's just, to me, that's what it is. Like, I can't be with someone every day on the island being their bestie, their number one, getting through all of these things together. Then I'm the one who makes the first move at trying to vote him out and it not succeeding, so he votes me out and still be mad and bitter at him. Like, I couldn't do that personally because I know that I'd look like a damn fool, and that is her choice and her decision to look like a damn fool. But, she has to deal with that, not me. And
And not only that, Charlie is Uncle Charlie to her kids.
Oh yeah, that's gonna be very awkward. Very awkward.
Especially when his fiance, I want to say, sees that.
Well,
girlfriend, I don't know.
I think we could definitely say that Maria, Maria's vote here definitely goes down. I think is one of the biggest gags of the season here. But I want to go ahead and finish off this portion of the segment here with. I waited as much time as I possibly could. I was not like the Survivor producers. I did not wait immediately after you losing here to bring it up here. But Whiskers, I do need to get your final opinion on the vote here, where you were literally one vote away from tying for their draft win and 2 votes away from possibly winning for the first time. What are your thoughts on how this all went down?
My Survivor draft glory flashed before my eyes with every vote that went by. No. And I think these will have to be my final comments for the night, as I'll have to leave a little early here. But I mean, obviously, pick Maria or not, I was very surprised that she didn't vote for Charlie based on how the tribal council went. I was fully maybe not fully expecting, but I wouldn't have been too surprised if Charlie got no votes and it was just like a sweep. I felt it was that strong for Kenzie. So I thought, okay, well, if Charlie gets any, surely he'll get Maria's, right? So I was very shocked to learn that Maria voted for Kenzie. I mean, I can see why just from like a purely objective standpoint, but yeah, it's felt like a season that's had so much emotion in it and so many people's choices. Namely Maria as well. Like she had those moments picking people for the reward. But strategy overtook everything at the end of the day, and she voted for Kenzie, who I do also believe had the best final tribal council. So I understand her decision. But I was very surprised by that. But I guess everything's not always how it seems, and like we were talking about how Hunter was possibly going very hard on Charlie, and Hunter ended up giving Charlie his vote, so things kind of flopped around. But that's been kind of the charm in this season for me. And some of my favorite seasons are like Survivor China, Survivor Gabon, and they're not like fully really known for their strategy, but it's known for the characters. And the season has kind of brought me back to those overall. So I think that's why I've really enjoyed this season more than really any season in a long time for me. It's been one of my favorites, and it's just been because we've gotten to learn about everybody. So that's why I've enjoyed it so much.
I definitely agree. This experience with y'all has been one of the more exciting experiences that I've had when it comes to watching a Survivor season. I think we really lucked out with this being our first season of the Survivor podcast. So hopefully Survivor 47 and on will be some amazing reality podcasts moving forward here. But before we move into our final segment of the night, I do want to go ahead and wish Whiskers a fantastic night here. He'll likely be with us on Friday for the Snatch Game edition of Drag Race All Stars 9, and another one of those podcasts. We did 7 hours of podcasting out there for y'all who love your Drag Race there, so make sure you are listening to that if you are not already. But Whiskers, thank you again for being here tonight, and yeah, have a fantastic night here.
Yeah, thanks so much for having me. I've had a lot of fun recording both the episodes I did and tonight, and just watching every week with you guys. It's something I look forward to, so I appreciate it. And Charlie, I know it was a tough loss tonight, but it's okay. I believe you can shake it off.
Oh Lord, you're saving that
Oh,
one.
no.
You were saving that one, weren't you?
I love it.
With that, go home. Get out of here. Get out. Well, how do we top that, y'all? How do we even top that? But yeah, that was a crazy season. A great way to top it all off. I do want to go ahead and kind of close tonight up, though, with kind of a retrospective on everything that we've done here within season 46. So, kind of a good spot that Whiskers kind of brought that up here. So, I kind of just want to look back on what everybody's kind of biggest takeaways are from the season, what you'll kind of remember the most. Let's start with Boo. You can go first here.
That's it.
Not the one.
No.
Several. Oh my gosh. How could we forget?
Arguably one of the best season
know what
premieres
to
that we've had. One of the best first boots that we've ever had. To think, Jelinski feels like it was so long ago when he was on our screens, right? Like the guy is.
It feels like forever ago.
Like I said, this was like the longest season ever, feeling like during its airing. Maybe it's just like the longest like 3 months that I've had here working. I don't know. But yeah, like it feels like it's been years since Jelinski was here. But wow, like all of the mistakes that man made. And it's I can't wait for him to inevitably return for Survivor 40 several. Like I love that. They better call it that. They better call it 47. You can't call it 47. It has to be 47
I
now.
hope they do. I hope they get a trend going.
Oh, we could call it that. They call it 47.
I mean, I'm just going to rename all of these seasons eventually at some point into some sort of like name that I want to call them instead of 46, 47, because I can't remember that. Like this will be Curse of the Idol, like forever. So yeah, we'll eventually, I will probably call it 47, regardless, whatever he wants there. So, yeah. Jelinski, surprisingly, turned out to be a really likable person. Callow, what do you take away from the season here?
I will take away that it was actually interesting because the jury were like acting all hard main character vibes when I'm like, but you're sitting there because you all did not play your idols correctly. So I will take from this that when you feel, if I ever play Survivor, but if you feel like you need to use your idol or there's a chance, just use it. Just use it and be safe. Better used and you're safe than sitting in your pocket and you're out of the game.
I mean, honestly, like
especially when like clues given to you.
Yep. By
Jeff.
Jeff.
Yeah, when Jeff is hitting to you,
that
that you need to say you use the idol. If you have only heard one name that afternoon, you're probably the backup target. Use your idol. If you have heard your name and you know that you're getting votes and you only have 2 tribal councils left, you should probably use your idol. Like especially because like they're so like we've seen so many seasons where someone will use an idol and then quickly like find it again. Like you know what to look for, you know what kind of what it looks like already. You're already at a bigger advantage than someone that hasn't found a clue. So I I don't get why people hold on to idols so much. I don't. So I agree with you. Hopefully people in the past or in the future will watch the season and play their idols. Let's go with Doug. What's your biggest takeaway for the season here? And any sort of big moments?
This season had two of the greatest characters in Survivor history in Banu and Q, from the mess that was the Yanu tribe, from Banu just like exploding when he heard his name once, and then acting like he was about to go home when he only got one vote at tribal, to then going to the journey and then just spilling all the beans to Ben and Liz, and then him praying to God for a miracle and getting that miracle, and Randon getting medevac. And
Not the
then he
medevac.
immediately spills the beans to Tiff because he's saying, "Oh yeah, I told them everything." To then him cursing God, and then Q just trying to have Banu be his sidekick, and oh god, and the Q skirt was also great, and then Q going, "Yeah, I caused too much chaos. Can I get voted out?" And then not getting voted out for like the next 5 tribals. Just a beautiful masterpiece.
There was so much insanity from. Honestly, have you all noticed the only things that we remember so far are the 3 men from the Purple tribe? Like, no wonder Purple lost so much. Like, they had 3 of the craziest men they've ever had on their show in one tribe. Like, how do you really expect a tribe with Banu and Q and Jelinski to do well? Really? Really?
And then you also had Jess, who's like, "Yeah, I'm not gonna speak to people."
Well, poor Jess was just busy eating. She needed her ants, okay? She needed her substance. So don't blame poor Jess, okay? She did what she could. Oh gosh, Yanu. Yanu could be even worse than Lulu, because like Lulu was like bad because they just like nobody wanted to be there. They just all wanted to quit. And then you had like Brandon. But then like
everybody just wanted to quit.
My opinion on Survivor 45 is soured a little bit over the last little bit, but I know you just like the winner. You just like your back-to-back win, Famous. But other than the winner here, what will you take away from this season here? Other than the winner, because I don't need to hear about Kenzie no more.
No, yeah, like what Doug said, was about Banu and Q and now Liz, was funny to me when Banu was like pleading, like saying to Kenzie, "Oh, what should I do? Who should I vote for?" in the tribal. To me, that was funny. That was like too much.
I think the best bonding moment is by far when he decides to blame God for the situation and say, if this was the way my Survivor journey was supposed to go, why would you even put me here?
or when Jelinski went to that island and trying to lie, and he didn't even lie. He just said the whole truth. Came back and told everyone that, "Oh, I didn't try to, like, I just told him the truth." Like, are you serious? What is this?
Yeah,
that was my pick, but like, come on, like, at least lie, or like, not just say you didn't try your best. Or when Liz lost her shoe. Was it? Oh, that was like the one looked like Liz. I don't know.
I don't know either.
Liz is the other one that looks like her. Like one of those two. The boy had glasses, the boy had red hair.
Wait, they lost their shoe?
Yeah.
That looked like Liz because Painless had said, and then this was the beginning of the season when we didn't know the difference.
Yeah, and I thought it was a shoe that she lost. I think we was making fun of she could lose her shoe, and that thing just like that was just in my head.
Oh fuck!
Wow, Callow, how dare! How dare you, Callow!
I'm still trying to figure out the shoe incident. I'm like, when did she lose her shoe? Was it so much happened this
It was
season? I
an
forgot that
idol. It
someone
was an
forgot their
idol.
shoe.
Manu yelled at God to give him a sign, and then Mo lost her shoe.
But like, I remember the part where
yes,
I
it was
remember when she
Mo.
couldn't jump. Was that what you're talking about? When she couldn't jump?
Yeah, she
Yeah.
couldn't jump.
That was Mo.
Are you-
Okay, we get it.
She
Did you
lost her
pause or
shoe,
you
so she couldn't
recording?
jump.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Well, I'm glad you remember that, Pamela, because I sure as fuck didn't. Be making shit out the air. Well, Jack, I need to know, what are your favorite moments here from Survivor 46? And hopefully, Mariah losing her shoe is going to be atop of that list.
Unfortunately, Mariah losing her shoe is not on top of that list. So I really think that like some of my favorite moments is probably when Banu is crying, because I think it's so funny when he drops down on his knees and begs Tiff, and Tiff is like, "I'm not even gonna like talk to you until you like get off your knees because this is embarrassing." And I was like, "Okay, Miss Tiff, you better tell him." I think another favorite part is Q having that breakdown and everyone finally seeing Q's like literally not that girl. And I was like, she's crazy. You should not want her there, but gets taken to the top 6 just because. I think also, just as an overall moment of the game, is just how many people have to go home with an idol in their pockets for you to decide that maybe using an idol is a good idea. Like, I know we talked about it, but it just needs reiterated, because how many people in a row went home? What was it? 4 people in a row went home with an idol in their goddamn pocket? Like,
That was crazy.
Not to mention one pre-merge too, so like 5 total. And then if you want to count Landon in on it too, for him
I'm
having
not
the clue
counting
and then
Landon,
getting
that's
Medivac.
disrespectful.
He had an idol, it was cursed.
Look,
Brandon
I'm
was
just
one
saying
first.
that like Randon doesn't deserve to be in that group because he didn't have the opportunity to do that before. But I mean, and also I think on top of just using the idols and trusting your gut kind of thing. Like, it's just so important to do that at this point in the game. And probably at this point, if you want to win the game, just throw yourself into fire. You have to win fire because it seems like you got to win fire, or you got to throw the loser goat in to win the fire. Like, I don't know if anyone else ever wins the game without putting the goat in there at this point. Like, I don't, or maybe like explain that fire isn't everything to the jury. Because at this point, like, and that's no discredit to Kenzie, because it's still a big accomplishment, but like beating Liz in fire is not like, it's not like she beat out someone who actually like makes fire on the daily, you know. Oh, and Q and a lot of the men, most of them on the season were just annoying. Trust your gut, ladies. If a man says anything and you get even the slightest ick, it's true. He's annoying. He cannot be trusted. I mean, I know people love Q, but Q is so annoying and awful and cocky and all these things I thought from the get go. Proved it, and then people
Who
still
loves
think he's like
Q?
the shit.
I love Q.
Like everyone in this chat, basically like, I love Q so much, and I was like,
I don't
He
know.
was the goat.
I don't love him, but he grew on me. Like,
see, that
I
right
didn't
there,
hate him
that's
as much.
That's sick. That is sick.
Sickening.
I will say
Sickening.
he's
No,
not
it's
like
sickening, darling.
he's not like my
He was
favorite player
annoying.
ever, but he's good TV. You have to recognize someone who's willing to bring it
I don't even
and
know
someone
if
who's
he's good
owning it.
TV at this
And
point.
he's great, amazing TV, and he's so entertaining. And his Twitter posts are by far some of the most engaged I've ever been with somebody being on the show at the same
His
time. So.
Twitter posts are all so rough. I was like, he has bad opinions and people agree because they think he's funny. And I was like, this is just not the ish. Like, I'm looking for a girl who knows how to like do her thing right, and he was not giving us anything. I was like, this was not giving me anything that I wanted to hear. Like, I was
Why did
not
you get on
here for
Twitter?
it.
If Q isn't good TV, then how come we had a whole segment dedicated to them playing hide and seek?
And can we also not forget the alphabet moment that was led by Q?
No.
That
Yes.
amazing. Like, he had like 3 or 4 back-to-back just amazing segments that were just him. just being himself. It's like
Q got that much screen time because Pick Maria decided to take him that far in the game. Because had he been voted out earlier when everyone was mad at him, things could have been very different. And
they could
I'd
have,
like to
but
see
they
a world
weren't.
just to know what would have happened if Maria went to jury, or Maria had made it to jury, and just see if the jury had talked shit on her for bringing Q or not. I just really want to know that now. But we'll never know, unfortunately.
Yeah, I do kind of agree with that. I kind of want to hear what their thoughts are on. Like it feels like for me, maybe they respected her, but I don't really know. It's kind of hard to tell.
It's oh, sorry.
Oh, I wasn't even saying anything.
Oh, I was just gonna say that I think it's interesting because like in one way you can see it as like very smart move from her to bring someone that everyone hates and like dislikes, and you can use as your pawn the whole time, which she did, and good for her. But at the same time, like the jury is over here like disgusted by him, but by the final time, it feels like everyone kind of just let everything go, and they're like, bygones be bygones. We're all pretty much cool with each other. Which for me, I'm not that kind of person. You know, I'm not all kumbaya like these bitches are. Like, it couldn't be like that for me. Like, I'm more like the girls on Big Brother, I guess, who like, you know what? After the show, I still got beef, and we don't keep it like that 100%. Like, catch me in them streets, kind of thing. So I don't know what it was like for them. And I'm not saying that I'm trying to fight everyone, but damn,
Jack's
Q
trying
really
to have a
pissed me off.
challenge reunion here where everybody just starts fighting and chairs get thrown and Michelle
You know
leaves
what?
the set because
That's
it's
a
too
much
difficult for
better.
her.
That's a much better reunion and a much better, more interesting, better TV right there. To me personally.
I mean, I will agree with you as someone that did get to go to the very last taped live reunion of all time, which I will constantly flaunt because I am so happy I got to go, considering they don't do them anymore. Like, it's just such a different experience being able to watch it, like how we do in the voice chat live. It's just completely different when you're in a theater of people watching the show, and it's just there's just so much more electricity in the air. It just feels so much bigger of an exit than getting like the last few people that are there on the game. Like a lot of the people that like they even brought up Jelinski. Well, Jelinski couldn't even talk tonight because he wouldn't let him stay. They brought up Bonnie, or I don't know if they brought up Bonnie, but Bonnie could have talked.
No,
Like there's a bunch of people they could have. Like Jem in her stupid idol search thing that she did, which still is bad strategy to me, but whatever. Like she could have talked about that. Like we had some really interesting people go in the pre-jury here.
Yeah.
Like it's really sad we'll never get to really hear from them. And I feel like that's the one thing really about the new era that I really wish they could change. But you know, as far
Do you
as
think they'll bring it back after hearing everyone's feedback on it? Because I was
maybe
looking on Twitter and everyone seems to agree with you.
it
They
seems
do want it
maybe
back.
if they're trying to do something big, maybe for Survivor 50, I think that would maybe be the time to bring it back because bringing it back now after like 47, 48
Hmm.
would be kind of weird. Um, but I could definitely see them if they can somehow work the budget because I'm sure it's a budget thing too. Like it's so much cheaper for them to just host it right after the show versus fly everybody back, months later and do it that way. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I could see them maybe doing it for Survivor 50 though, if the ratings and whatnot are still good and they can get the budget going. But who knows? Honestly, I think maybe New Era Survivor is just the Survivor we're gonna get now. And if we really want some old school Survivor, we're just gonna have to watch more Australian Survivor seasons. So that's fine with me because that's the season they had this year was pretty good. I don't know if I would compare Survivor 46 on the same level as uh, Titans versus Rebels, but it was definitely a very entertaining season for all the wrong reasons. um, does anybody have any last thoughts here? 'Cause, we
I was
put a
gonna
close here on
say,
46. Yeah, go ahead, Bill.
another takeaway as a viewer is that just because someone is the narrator does not mean they're gonna go far. That had me fooled.
Oh my god, yes, the editing. this season was probably some of the best that they've had in a really long time. Um, I didn't really, I feel like, clearly have the winner really sought out for at least like 2 or 3 episodes into the merge, which is a good sign. Kenzie got a lot of initial focus here, but I didn't know if I was necessarily seeing like a winner from her.
Mm-hmm.
But I think a lot of that has to do with the fact too that again, a lot of these people that went out in the pre-jury were huge characters. These were people that we needed to get to know why they were leaving so early. So um, I think the show did a really good job of actually utilizing the 90-minute runtime that they had here, and the fact that Survivor 45 went in with all of like the gags and the extra things, the reward challenges, the extra things to bloat up the screen time already. Survivor 46 didn't have that. They didn't know Survivor 46 was going to be a 90-minute season like they did Survivor 45 was. So I think the show actually really benefited from not having all the extra, shit going on, and we really got to know these people, and this group of people needed the screen time. And they filled it really well as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, there's a lot of good here, a lot of memorable people that we'll see here. And that's actually one thing I kind of want to end on here actually. Being that Survivor 50 is around the corner here, I kind of wanted to get everybody's last thoughts here on some players that they would like to see possibly return for the Survivor 50, whatever the installment's going to be, whether it's going to be all more winners, all stars, some stars, whatever. Does anybody have any locks here, any picks that they want here? Doug, I want to start with you.
I think Q is most likely going to be a lock after this season with how much the editors just loved him for just being sixth place. And I think if they get the call out to Rick Devens, that he'll definitely be a lock because of how much they loved him that season and how entertaining he made that season, his season. And they did say that they are going not just the new era, which is really nice. So I would love to see an old player return, like oh god. Oh my! I would love to see him finally come back on the season.
Shane's definitely been someone that we've been all wanting to see come back for years. And if we're all on the topic of like really old school players, Natalie Bolton, get this bitch back on our screen. I'm not sure if you saw. There was I think this was recently. I'm pretty sure I wasn't dreaming. But there was like a TikTok or some sort of thing where it was like Sari and Ethan and Parvati and Natalie Bolton. I'm like, oh bitch. Oh, bitch!
I want to say I think Parvati and Natalie did like some photo shoot when Parvati was on the traders.
Oh my god, get her back. Get her back now. I need her. I need her flossing people's jugulars right now. Right now. Boo. Who would you like to see back here? Either new era people or old school players again. I want to know who would be on your cast list for season 50.
I would love to see Hunter come back. I think he
That's
truly loves
interesting.
the game. I really feel, I mean, he was a huge threat, and that's why he went so soon. But I truly believe if he would have kept winning the immunity challenges, he would have taken the $1 million home. So he would be one I would love to see, and then also Cody.
I was about to say, where's Cody?
I want to say, is it 42, 41?
43.
43. Okay.
See, they're also hard to keep track of.
L-A-V-I-N. I would love to see him come back and play again.
About to say, I feel like Cody, definitely Jesse, but Cody, I feel like could be a lock too, because him and Jesse were pretty notorious of a duo there. So who knows? We might see them back here again. Jack, any thoughts on any players you would like to see again here?
I think a couple players I would like to see are like some people who I think just need a chance to actually play the game for real, because there are a few people who I think kind of got shafted real hard, and there's quite a few of them, but comes to mind is RC. First of all, I think that you know, had she had maybe a game without Abby Maria there making things terrible per usual. Uh, she seemed like a really good player that just unfortunately made an early game alliance with the worst possible person, and then her downfall. And she didn't come back for the season because of her father's illness, unfortunately. So she's a great one. I also think I know this is gonna be kind of maybe from left field, but Francesca, I would love to see her actually get to compete on a season without fucking Philip Shepard there for one goddamn time.
I'd be fine with Francesca.
I feel like she got the biggest shaft of anyone, because getting back to come back on a season where she's the first out, and then she becomes the next first out again, and both times it's almost fully because of Philip. Like, I just yes, there are things she could have done differently, but that is just got to be one of the worst like feelings or curses you've ever had in your life. So I want to give her that opportunity to really like come back, see if she can do it. Additionally, Randon. I think Randon deserves his chance to come back after this season, because
Randon for Survivor 50, Jack. Randon.
Yeah, of course.
Randon. I'm judging.
Okay, you're judging, but literally they just said Shane and Hunter. All Shane. Shane is terrible. I hate him. He's disgusting and he's awful to deal with. And Hunter is a dumbass, like, who didn't even use the idol in his pocket and thought he was cool and good because he was so, like, I don't know. My idea of, this season was so good because everyone kept getting, like, convinced that they didn't need to use their idols. Was everyone so good or was everyone so dumb? I don't know, girl. I don't know, like, they say coincidences, but I don't know if you can really believe a coincidence on that one, so I mean, I'm just saying, at least anyone who got medical evac and, like, didn't really get to play their game yet, it would be interesting to see what they could have brought to the game.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
we saw Bruce. I know we don't want.
Yeah, I was gonna say Bruce came back, and I was not a fan.
Oh, that is so different. That is so different.
That's the same thing. Same thing.
No, he was.
Thank you for all people painless. All people painless just called you out and said wrong. Check your facts.
Girl, Bruce was already terrible from the first day, and then he came back.
We didn't even know him in the first day. He got injured. He got.
Girl, I knew him. I saw those interviews. I was like, oh, I don't want that.
Oh, did you? No, so I only saw him back when he came back, and I was like, oh, that's cool. He gets a chance to play. And then the season went on, and we saw.
And then Katura said, yeah, that's my enemy right there. And the others said, yeah, we're going to only let you say bad stuff about Bruce.
To be fair, if it had not been for the terrible cast they had put there too, he might have been out earlier. But, like, we had 3 different people basically give up the game and be like, I'm ready to go home, I want to go, goodbye. And we were like, what the fuck? So I mean, that whole season is a mess.
Yeah, my reevaluation of Survivor 45, it didn't turn out as well, honestly. I think I'm reevaluating it a lot worse than I'm thinking that it was now that I've had some time to separate myself. Callow, how about you?
Yes.
Tell me who you would like to see return.
Yeah. So similarly to Boo, Cody, I mean, from when I was on the first podcast and you asked me who one of my top favorites was, it was Cody. Especially since I think that was the first season that we started doing the watch parties and we did the draft and everything. So he really stuck out and I loved him. And then I think from this season, I kind of want to see Tiffany back. Because similar to what also Jack is saying about how, we didn't get to really see some players really play. I mean, Tiffany from the get-go, she was on a really bad team. Like, the first few weeks for them, it was terrible. And once they finally got to the merge and all of that, she was a target pretty early on to get out. So I kind of want to see her play a little bit longer and see just kind of what her gameplay and strategy would have been if she got to go a little bit further than when she got blindsided. Yeah.
I'm so glad that you brought up Miss Tiffany because I would love to see her back.
Yeah.
I know Boo would not be happy. But I would love to see Tiffany back. Another person from this season specifically, I think that would be fun to get back, even though I kind of hate, or I wouldn't say hate. Hate's a strong word. Disliked them at points this season. I think Venus absolutely needs to come back.
Yes,
Absolutely.
the queen.
Absolutely.
Or Cassidy's because she got robbed.
Oh gosh.
No,
Oh,
no, we're
I mean,
not.
Cassidy
No,
get robbed.
I know
She's
Cassidy
Yes,
was
she
robbed,
did.
yes, but
Yes,
she
did.
Cassidy suffers from Charlie syndrome here, in that she just did not verbalize her game well at
No.
all.
We need her back.
and fire just wins you the game.
Well,
Yeah. Like, what the hell?
thanks for just jumping in painless and giving us your picks. No, I'm just kidding.
You got to mention Cassidy.
Yeah, right? It
I'm
has to be
surprised you
Cassidy.
didn't
I'm
mention
her.
Yeah, I'm surprised you
Wow.
didn't give it the main name that I was expecting here. Miss Morgan McDevitt from, or not Morgan McDevitt, Morgan, what's her name? Morgan McSomething.
Morgan.
McLeod.
Oh.
McLeod.
Morgan
McLeod from Survivor Kagion. His one
Yes,
true
bring her
love.
back too. Where is she?
Bring her back.
Where's Morgan?
Bring them all back.
All of the girls named Morgan, just bring them all back. I can't remember which one it was, but bring them back.
No, just her. Not no one else.
Just 20 of her.
Well,
20 clones of Morgan.
I will
I was gonna
give
say-
all my movie idols to Morgan. I will save her now. Like, I'm putting this on Morgan.
and then he'd end up picking Morgan for the draft, and then when Morgan inevitably wins, he'll win the draft again. I get it. I see his plan there. I get it. I see the long con. I was gonna say, well, you guys brought some good names here. I think some names that I was personally kind of thinking of, and one that I'm very surprised we did not hear because we heard it tonight was Carolyn. Very surprised no one said Carolyn.
the
Carla. No, Carolyn. Yeah, from season 44.
Yeah,
hmm
the crazy one.
hmm I'm surprised no one said Carla from season 43. Miss Carla was definitely someone I think would be a good gamer. Another name that I really want to see is Shan from season 41. Even though she's a little bit of a villain now. Well, she's always been a villain. Would love her. And then I think there's two more people that I feel like need a second chance from pre season 41, and one is Chrissy from season 35, the original woman that was screwed over by the stupid fire making twist. Regardless if she would have got the jury votes or not, justice for Chrissy. She's the real winner of season 35.
No.
Yes.
Push it back.
Yes.
No.
And the other name that I feel like really needs another shot to play, I feel like this woman like legitimately needs to come back immediately is Kelly Kim from Survivor 39. Let Kelly play again. She deserves it. She was rudely. We're not even going to talk about the shit she had to deal with on her season. If she has any goodwill or like any like positivity towards wanting to play again, give her another shot. If you're talking about like people that did not get a chance to play, Kelly Kim for sure. And also, how can I forget? I know I'm just naming women, but they're the only ones that are popping up in my mind right now.
Fair.
Financial analyst Emily Flippin.
Yes.
Yes.
We need to come back. We need her. But we still have some time. We still have at least another, well, probably 2 seasons. I highly doubt that anybody from 49 is going to be on season 50. I mean, like maybe they might pull a Rupert and somehow know that they're going to be on All Stars, but I don't really see that happening. But you know what? Survivor 46 again was just it's the fact again I keep saying Survivor 46 keeps blowing my mind that the show's been on this long, and the fact that it's just just as good as ever. So I'm just very excited to see what we are looking forward to in the future, and hopefully all of my podcast guests will be back. Maybe not Painless because we might shun him from the draft team here. But everybody else will definitely be back. So again, y'all, it's we've almost gone 2 hours tonight though, so we're gonna go. We'll wrap it up here. Again, for those y'all listening, I appreciate y'all. It's been so much fun being able to do this with all of y'all and all of my guests this season. So we'll definitely be back again, hopefully this fall for Survivor 47. But in the meantime, here we Survivor. Oh yeah, Survivor. You're Survivor 47. Got it right. Got to get the name right. Appreciate that, Painless. Appreciate you. Call me out. Hate you. Anyway. Anybody else out there? We are still doing the All Stars 9 podcast that just started last week. So excited for some more Drag Race. We can't go a week without a new season. So very excited for that. And maybe we'll see some of our returnees from the Survivor podcast guest host if they get caught up here. You never know. So on behalf of all them tonight, though, on behalf of Boo, Callow, Painless, Jack, Whiskers, and Doug, I'd like to thank you all again for listening. Please like and subscribe for more content because there will definitely be more. And until next time, y'all, I'm Renegade and keep spilling that tea. Bye.
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 Bye.